All right, this week we're going to be making California pizza. Pizza is one of our favorite foods, but it is really, really bad for us. Super high in fat, really high in salt, and just not a lot of nutrition going on for the really gigantic amount of calories that we consume when we eat it. A regular slice of pepperoni pizza on average has 300 or 400 calories per large slice of pizza. So you think about that when you're eating 4 or 5 pieces, the amazing amount of calories that you're consuming. And not only is it really high in fat, but it's high in saturated fat, which is the type of fat that's most harmful to your health. So we're making a lower fat version, and we're increasing the nutrition by adding a lot of vegetables to it. And I know it's that V word that lots of people don't like, but when you make a food that's lower in fat, you're going to add a lot of really delicious flavor by choosing vegetables that can be seasoned well and that have a nice punch to their flavor. So your recipe reads vegetables of your choice, mozzarella cheese, ready-made pizza crust, and we're going to be using this Boboli crust today. And it's a nice, quick, easy product. You can find it in the store, either white, which is what we're using today, or whole grain, which is even more healthy for you. And per crust, they're somewhere between $2.50 and $3.50. And so it's really a pretty economical meal. We're also going to be adding some diced chicken that we'll saute ahead of time to our pizza, just to kind of add another little dimension of texture and improved flavor. So I've got the chicken going over here, and you can see I've sliced it quite small. And you want to cut it really small so that you have a lot of pieces that are evenly distributed over your pizza. I have a small saute pan, and we're going to put it on medium heat, and on your stove that'll be somewhere between I would say probably the 6 and 7, so medium high heat. To the pan we're going to add a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. Now there's no sauce on this pizza at all, and so the sauce is being substituted with the liquid that we'll build while we cook the chicken, also the olive oil that we're going to use to cook it in, and then we're going to flavor it with some garlic that'll go in with the chicken. So I'm going to begin by putting a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. And I know it seems like a lot to cook a really small amount of chicken. You'll get one chicken breast fillet, and so it's just maybe about 3 or 4 ounces. But remember that this liquid and the oil is going to end up being the sauce to moisten the crust for us. So don't be alarmed if it seems like a lot. All right, so I already have the chicken diced, and I want to cook some garlic with it. So I've got 2 cloves of garlic, and you guys will use the same. Take the paper off of them. It's a little bad spot, we'll get rid of that. And I just want to cut this really finely. When you guys start working in your kitchens on your pizza, remember that you've got multiple cutting boards and many more knives than just the one, so everybody kind of get going on something at once. You also want to start by preheating your oven to 375 degrees. Find your pizza pan, and if you don't have a pizza pan, then a baking sheet from your kitchen will work just fine. The crust goes right on the pizza pan. The pan does not need to be greased at all because it's a ready-made crust. Okay? Our pan is hot. We're going to put the chicken in. Because they're cut really small, they're going to cook really quickly. We want to put the garlic in at the same time. And we're also going to add some more seasonings to our chicken while it's cooking. Okay. But remember your safety stuff. We're going to make sure that we get our hands washed right away before we touch anything else. Okay, we use a plastic cutting board for the meat. Be sure not to use your wooden cutting boards at all for your raw proteins. Make sure you have a nice sizzle. And we're going to add a little bit of onion powder, a little bit of Italian seasoning, and then on your recipe it does say that you need to use some fresh red pepper flakes. Whenever you remove fat from a recipe, the flavor does diminish because fat is one of the things that adds a lot of flavor to our food. And we're going to replace that flavor with a little zip from the red pepper flakes. And you don't have to use the entire teaspoon that the recipe calls for. You can, even delete it completely. You could also keep it out of the chicken and add it on top of your finished pizza just for the folks in your kitchen who want to have some spicy stuff and maybe other people don't care for it. And we're also going to do a little bit of basic salt and pepper. Okay? And at this point, you guys have learned to cook well enough that you can decide on the amounts of seasoning that you feel your chicken needs. It's really going to be just that quick. It's just a few minutes because, again, the pieces are very small. And remember that your pizza's going to cook a little bit in the oven too. The cooking in the oven is really more about melting the cheese and reheating the chicken and heating up all of your vegetables, as opposed to actually cooking across through like when we made the pizza crust from scratch. All right, so the vegetables we've chosen today are baby zucchini, tomato. We're going to add some zip to it, a little bit of flavor with some marinated artichoke hearts. And then we're going to do some black olives too. The olives that you guys will get will be whole. You want to choose maybe 7 or 8 of them and just slice them into 3 or 4 pieces each. The baby zucchini that you'll get need to be washed. You're going to take off the ends, and each group is just going to get half, all right? And instead of slicing big rings, which the rings are sort of difficult to eat on the top of a pizza, what you want to do is cut it in half lengthwise. Cut each half in half again, and then you're going to do thin slices. That way your slices come up as these nice kind of quarter rounds, which are easier to eat. As an extra step, if you didn't care for the baby zucchini nearly raw on your pizza and just sort of warm, you could go ahead and saute your zucchini after you pull the chicken out of the pan. But with this one, I'm just going to put it on there raw. I like it this way. The tomatoes, we're going to have smaller Roma tomatoes in class. I've got a really large one here, and so I'm just only going to use half, but each kitchen will get one entire tomato. You want to begin by washing it, of course. You're going to take out the stem, and you're going to remove the seeds. Okay, the seeds and the liquid are not a pleasant part on top of a pizza that's got cheese and stuff on it. So we'll take that out. And you're just going to dice the tomato. You'll also be given a portion of mozzarella cheese. I believe your recipe says that you need 1 cup of it. So you'll be given the portion, and you're just going to grate it and put all of it on top of your pie. Okay, the marinated artichoke hearts, we're going to pull 4 or 5 of them out of the jar and just cut them across into some smaller pieces. The leaves kind of spread out, and that's kind of nice too because then it spreads out more across your pizza. All right, I'll get it in there with the tomato pieces. Wash my hands. And it's just sort of a matter of assembling it. We're going to begin with our chicken. And I know usually you put cheese on and then you put the rest of your toppings on. But with the vegetable pizzas that are sort of low in fat, the vegetables tend to kind of roll off as you're eating it and as you're trying to cut it and serve it. So I like to put the cheese on top of everything else to kind of glue everything in place. So we're going to begin with our chicken, just kind of spread that around. Okay. And hopefully your olive oil doesn't end up all in one place. If it does, do what you can with the spoon to kind of move things around a little bit. And then we'll disperse our tomatoes zucchini. You get a really large zucchini like I just did. You don't have to use it all. But the more vegetables you have in the diet, the better off you're going to be. Everybody's supposed to have 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. It's recommended that 3 of them be vegetables, not all 5 being fruits. They have different vitamins and minerals. It's really important that you get a good variety for lifelong health and wellness. A little bit of olives. And it looks so pretty, it's kind of a shame to cover it up with the cheese, but the cheese is delicious and we needed to make everything stay in one spot. Okay. And then our grated mozzarella cheese. And I'm going to take the time to clean it all up off the pan, whatever has spilled, so that it doesn't cause me a problem when I'm cleaning it up later. Okay, and then the last thing that I want to do is garnish this with a little bit of either oregano or Italian seasoning. It's up to you which one you guys choose. A fresher when it comes out of the oven would be really nice also. And this little sprinkling probably didn't amount to more than half a teaspoon or so. So it's going to bake in the oven 375 degrees for about 15 minutes, just until the cheese is melted and the vegetables are hot and the crust is hot. When it comes out, it's always a good idea to let things that are high in cheese rest for a few minutes. It lets the cheese cool off and you're better able to cut it. When you're preparing to cut this, please slide it off your pizza pan onto your wooden pastry board and use your chef's knife to cut it. Remember that the pizza cutters in your kitchens